Hi, Dave McIntosh here again, as I take you on another tour that we recently went on. This time we're going to travel around Scotland. This will not be another how-to video or tell you what to see or do, but you might just learn some things as we travel along and discover some things you want to do or some things to learn as you travel along with us. I know you'll enjoy this video. On this tour, you're going to travel with my wife and I as we travel around the country of my ancestry, though this is not what this video is all about. This was my first time to Scotland, and my family has lived in Canada for at least 8 generations. So this was more about getting to know the country a little bit and its people. We are going to start off in Edinburgh, a beautiful, amazing city. We flew into Edinburgh and took a taxi to our hotel that was right downtown. There are different ways you can get from the airport to downtown. You can take a tram, a bus 100, a taxi, or an Uber. And after this first time, we took an Uber, as it was a little bit more than the two of us riding on a bus or tram, but the Uber was half the price of the taxi, and the Uber took us right to the front door instead of a 15-plus minute walk from the bus stop to our hotel front door. Now, before we get going, don't forget, if you like this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you to all of those who have already subscribed. If you have ever flown from Canada to Europe, you know that the flights often leave at night and you arrive at your destination in the morning hours. Well, our flight arrived in Edinburgh at 7 a.m. and we were at the hotel before 9, which meant our room wasn't ready and wouldn't be until at least 2, which caused us to stash our luggage in a locker so we could start checking out the city. One of the things we did ahead of time was book a ticket on a hop-on, hop-off bus. We decided we had enough energy to ride a bus and headed for the closest stop. We took their tour around the city and got ourselves oriented and a bit familiar with some of the things we wanted to see and do. The hop-on, hop-off is a great way to get oriented. We saw the castle from many different directions and some amazing old buildings along with some impressive monuments. Along the way, we stopped and had a bit of lunch, and then about mid-afternoon, we went back to our room and checked in and got a bit settled, as we had a 3-night stay here in Edinburgh. Then we crashed for an hour or so. After we got up, we went out for dinner to a little restaurant not too far away, and then went back to the room and finished settling in and crashed for the night. The next morning, our plan was to take the hop-on, hop-off to different stop-off points and tour around on foot for a bit, and then take the bus to the next place we wanted to see. We were up early and ready to go and stopped off at a local coffee shop for breakfast. They were out of some of what we wanted, but we enjoyed breakfast and then headed for the bus stop. Our first stop was at the Grass Market, a beautiful little street
just below the castle with some great views. The street had a lot of shops and restaurants, and right next to it was a steep, windy street with a lot of quaint shops, and by that time, it was full of people. After spending some time here, we took the bus to the next stop. I thought I knew where we wanted to go, but we got off track and ended up wandering the streets for a bit. But we enjoyed ourselves a lot. We ended up at the Princess Street Gardens around lunch and enjoyed our lunch at this little cafe there. After lunch, we walked down to the Scott Monument and then walked back up to the Royal Mile and spent some time there. We walked past and around St. Giles Cathedral, which is right on the Royal Mile. We really did a lot of walking, and then we found a stop for the hop on and off and rode it for a bit as it was starting to rain. We went out to Holyrood Park and had a coffee at the Dynamic Earth Pavilion. Then we caught a different hop-on bus and took it out to the harbor and past the Royal Yacht Britannica. But it was pouring rain at the time, and then we went back downtown. It was a full day of walking, with only a few breaks on the bus and at lunch.
At this point, we headed back to the hotel, as it was late afternoon. We had a brief rest, and then headed out to a quaint old pub that we had seen earlier in the day, and decided to try it out for our dinner.
It was a delightful place, and had some different Scottish foods, which we tried out, and they were delicious. One of the things we had was haggis, and it was really good. Now that we were fed and really tired, we headed back to our room for the night. The next day, we were up early again, and our goal was to see Edinburgh Castle. Right after breakfast, at the Black Sheep Cafe, we hopped on a bus, as we still had the morning to use it, and headed for the Royal Mile, and then up to the castle. We managed to get tickets for 1 p.m., which was perfect for us, so we had the morning to kill. We wandered along the Royal Mile, enjoyed a coffee, and checked out the street performers. This guy was a riot, as he kept us in suspense as to when and how he was going to escape. This time, we walked through St. Giles Cathedral and enjoyed its amazing architecture. Then we had some lunch and headed for the castle. We got in a little early and then saw a crowd gathering, and I knew right away what it was about. They fire off this cannon at 1 o'clock every day to mark the time of day. It is done with a lot of precision, and we got to see it happen. Fantastic. Then we wandered around the castle and enjoyed this amazing fortress and army barracks of the past, right in the middle of the city. From below, it looks like it's built on a flat plateau, but it is not. In fact, the whole city of Edinburgh is very hilly, so if you go there, be prepared to walk up and down a lot of hills and steps.
Here I am at Edinburgh Castle in Edinburgh, Scotland, enjoying the history of this country.
We spent a fair amount of time in the castle and then wandered back towards home. This time, we didn't have a bus to catch, so we had to walk all the way. On the way, we found a grocery store, so we bought some food for our lunch the next day and made it back to our room about 4. This was because we were starting our tour around the country the next day and really didn't know where we would be at lunchtime. Besides, it was cheaper. After a bit, we headed out for supper to a small restaurant not far away and had a wonderful meal, though it wasn't Scottish food, so it wasn't our favorite. By the time we got home, we were ready to settle down for the night and prepare for traveling through the rest of the country. I do want to say that our hotel was Stay City. It was the favorite hotel of our trip to Scotland. It was fairly new and large, with a kitchen area. It was great. At the end of our tour around the country, we went back to Edinburgh for a day and stayed at the same hotel. Our time back in the city was spent at the grass market and up near the castle,
Just enjoying this beautiful park.
and then the afternoon was at the Princess Street Gardens, relaxing and enjoying a beautiful day. There's a lot to do in the city if you have the time and energy. We couldn't have packed any more into our time there, but we know there was a lot more to see and do.
I trust you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you on our next video as we start to travel around the country. Next time, we're going to travel to Inverness area, and it is a beautiful area with lots of history and culture and a little bit of mystery mixed in. So don't forget to come back in a couple of weeks and continue our tour of Scotland.